together. We change the world.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Theo here with a should you pull tier list for Tifa's BT cycle. Some disclaimer before we start. This tier list is just my opinion and is not a representation of strength. DFFOO is a fairly balanced game where you can make almost all unit work in the correct team. If you have a favorite, always go for them. That said, this video might be helpful if you are playing on a stricter budget. And unless otherwise mentioned, all characters are assumed to have their full kit. I won't go too in-depth into each character's kit, so check out other content creators if you're interested in a more detailed breakdown of each character. For the first tier, we have Theo approves. These are meta-defining characters that can potentially make it easier for you to clear events. Having them in your pocket can sometimes save you a bit of a headache. Next is the You Decide tier. Characters that is generally useful and can fit in many parties, or have easy FR conditions, or ones that work extremely well with minimal investments. Consider pulling these characters if you need to expand your roster. Final tier is Safe Skip, usually reserved for characters that doesn't have a unique gimmick, or characters that just require too much investment and setup just to be decent. First event from the cycle, we have the Spiritus Brothers event, featuring reworks for Tifa, Bartz, 8 and Jack. Starting from the Safe Skip, we have Bartz. He's a BT level support and wind element enchanter, not really worth your resources at this moment. Then we have 8, an evade and counter DPS. He's not too bad, with defense ignore attached to both of his counters, he will likely cap every attack. But when compared to other units with similar gimmick like Edge, who has party auras, 8 just kind of falls short. Even a counter tank like Oran or Gladio will do the same number of dumps as 8 against 2 enemies, and they have party utility on top. The last safe skip of the batch is Jack, DPS with some selfish turn manipulation, nothing special. In the Theo approves tier, we have Tifa. The arrival of her BT plus FR marks a new level of power creep. She is bonkers. Tifa specializes in single target, but with the amount of damage she does, she can melt even multi-target fights just fine. Let's take a look at her FR condition. First is plus 30% when doing single target breath damage, and the second is another plus 30% when doing critical breath damage. Both very simple conditions. Her BT on the other hand enables 2 follow-up for all of her attacks. There is 6 extra dumps per attack. Both of her BT and FR are integral to her kit, but if you can only afford one, then I would suggest going for her BT. Then we have another character in this tier, Selfie. I don't usually feature characters with no rework on this tier list, but Selfie gets her force enhancements in this event, and that is a godly rework in its own right. Selfie transcends into one of the best support in this game by simply having force enhancements. Wall and Aura can now charge the force gauge, and Wall can also be used as a supercharger. If you do not yet own her kit, I highly recommend pulling for her EX and LD weapons. You should get her at least to force level 20 to allow both Wall and Aura to charge the gauge, although a full force level 30 investment will be best. Before we move on to the next event, do like the video if you enjoy this kind of tier list and subscribe for more DFFOO content. Next up, we have Lut's Lost Chapter, featuring reworks for Lut and Amidatelion. In the safe skip, we have Ami. Ami is a debuffer and turn deleter. No boss turning is still a very popular strategy, but having a dedicated deleter or delayer is no longer necessary to do it, so it's an easy pass. Next up, in the You Decide tier, we have Lut. He's a support and EX gauge manipulator with yet another universal FR. So let's take a look at the conditions. First is party member has a stack-based buff or overhead for plus 40%, and second is recover HP for plus 20%. If you enjoy the supercharging strategy but does not yet have a unit like Ursula or Iroha, then Lute might be a good pick. But an advice from my fellow content creator Serial, Hope's FR is just right around the corner and he does an even better job supercharging than Lute. If you are not in a dire need of an FR like this, I would actually recommend skipping. The final event of the batch is the Crystal Armor Raid, featuring reworks for Faris and Agrias. Sad day for Tactics fan, but I'll have to put Agrias under safe skip. She's a jack of all trade character that specializes in disabling the enemies. She has access to 3 different forms of paralysis, but paralysis is just not as strong as it used to be. Often damage is usually the way to go instead. Last in the batch, we have Faris in the You Decide tier. She is a decent debuffer dispeller with a strong often damage and easy FR condition. First is to attack a debuff enemy valued at 5% per debuff for a maximum of 40%. Then the second is to use a water ability for 5%, and this includes off-turn attacks. The neat part is, her FR comes with a secondary effect of party-wide water enchant. The FR attack itself will also dispel all enemy buffs upon activation. Really good on paper, but unfortunately, her FR event also marks the start of lockouts. Moving forward, we have events that occasionally lock out certain elements and attack types. With Faris locked to water, we might not be able to bring her to every fight. Do take that into consideration if you are thinking of maxing her. And my pull plan for the cycle. A very easy month for me. I am pulling only for Tifa and skipping the rest. I already have supercharging FR like Ursula and Iroha, so I don't really need Lute. And to me, Faris and Core works very similarly in practice, so I'll just settle with Core instead. And that's it for the tier list and pull plan for Tifa's BT cycle. What is your pull plan for this cycle? Let me know in the comments. If there's anything you disagree with, let me know as well. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!